And for those who missed it earlier also, I will be taking questions, but at the end. And so you don't forget it, just get a little notepad and a pen and jot it down, your questions. I will not be able to take all the questions. I just won't, there'll be too many. And I will try and pick the ones that would be best served to everybody, that everybody would benefit from. And I will repeat the question that I'm answering. So I'll say the question and I'll say the answer. Then I'll go on to the next question and so on. This is being recorded. So we're going to try and kind of record it in a little bit of segments, if I can remember correctly. And so that's good. Okay, I am using Lightroom 4, so everybody knows. And much of everything that we're really teaching tonight can be done in Lightroom 3. So if you have Lightroom 3 and you just wanted to join us, that is great. I'm happy to have you here. And everything can be done. Some of the brushes I'm using tonight are not yet available. Well, all the brushes I'm using tonight mostly are not yet available for Lightroom 3, but they will be soon. So don't be disheartened. Okay, so I have some images here that Lisa, a valued photographer who shares images on Laura's wall often, let Laura use, and they're just beautiful and we love them and very excited about what we can do with them tonight, so I appreciate her letting us use them. What I'm going to do first, so we have our images in here, I have them tagged and I have them in a collection set so that I can easily like go back and forth. So if I wanted to switch to another collection quickly, I could. I talked about collection sets in the Lightroom, the first Lightroom webinar we did. So like if I wanted to switch to a whole different collection, I could. Then I could go back to that collection. You know, even though it's small, I want to be able to access those pictures very quickly. So anytime you have that, go ahead and make a collection. Even if it's 2 or 3 pictures, make a collection so that you can access them in the Develop module and not have to go back to the Library module and find those keywords. If you're thinking, oh, I'll just you know, find my images by keywords, that's great. But when you're wanting to have a nice, good, fluid workflow, then creating a set makes things so much easier. So I'm in set. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to talk about how to install the presets. So we've got a tab here for presets. See that? But the presets I have are not in there yet. So we're going to do that. And on a Mac, you'd go to your Finder. On a PC, you'd go to Windows Explorer. And where my files are is Dropbox, because that's where I've thrown them up from my PC. But it could be anywhere. It could be just on your hard drive. It could be on an external hard drive. Wherever you saved. When you purchase presets, it's going to prompt you to download it, and wherever that download saved to, it could be your downloads folder, it could be your desktop, it could be at different places. Just pay attention to where it's downloading to so that you can go and get that. Normally when I download from the internet, I do have it go to my downloads folder. So I've got my user and my downloads folder. Right now, I have it in Dropbox. And let's first do that. So it comes in as a zip. Okay, it comes in as a zip. And then for Mac, you just double click on it and it will extract it. See, it extracted it right here. If you have a PC, you need to right click on it and choose extract all. But there they are. So once you're in that folder, you've got a terms of use PDF, and then you have a folder. We don't need the PDF, we just want the folder. So now we have it here. Okay, we're going to just do Command C as in cat, Command C as in cat to copy that whole folder. We're going to come back to our Lightroom. Okay, so I've got Lightroom open. I'm going to go into our preferences. And in a PC, your preferences are under Edit. So it's Edit and then Preferences. Under a Mac, it's under Lightroom. So Lightroom, Preferences. Now, you go into it different ways, Mac versus PC, but once it's open, they're identical. Okay, they're identical. So we've got the presets here, or we've got the preferences. Let's say you're on general. These are different menus. You want to be on the presets. I love you, Carol. That was an accident. Okay, nobody knows, but Carol knows. I love you. All right, so we're in presets, and what we're going to be in, we want to go to is show Lightroom preset folder. See that? Show Lightroom preset folder. That is going to open up your Finder, or it's going to open up your Windows Explorer, and it's going to show you your Lightroom folder. See, right there. So don't worry about the rest of that's all there. Don't get afraid about all that. Just, it's already on Lightroom, so just double click. We're going to go into it. I just copied over global presets. These are presets that affect the whole image. So those are going to go in the develop presets folder right here. Develop presets. So I'm going to double click in there, and I'm just going to do Command V as in Victor. Command V as in Victor. It's going to paste it there. So we're good to go. Let's go ahead and close out of that. Now, I'm back here where I copied. I'm in my Dropbox folder still, right? So I want to go to the baby brushes, and I have not extracted it, but I'm going to do it now. So I'm going to do double click, and it extracted it right there. These, you don't want to copy the folder, you have to copy the individuals. So I'm going to click on the first one, hold down my shift key, and click on the last one. Okay? First, click on the first one, hold your shift key down, click on the last one, then do Command C as in cat, and I can just get out of that, come back right over here. Let's show that preset folder again. Go back into Lightroom, I'm double clicking. This time, brushes are adjustments on small areas of your image, so they're local adjustments versus global adjustments of the other one. So we want the local adjustment presets. We're going to double click. So now I'm going to do Command V as in Victor again. Command V as in Victor, and it pasted them all in there. Now when you come back, I'm going to close everything up. We still won't see these folders. We won't see the baby preset. I'm going to skip this time. That's my Camtasia. Laura, I forgot to start the recording. Damn it. All right, it's recording now. Okay, now it's recording. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to start my Lightroom again. I needed a buzzer to tell me to start recording. So after we have pasted in, we copied and pasted in our presets. Now Dream Baby presets are right there. We go to our brushes. You're going to click, see where it says Effect? We're going to click on it, and now we have, and the 4 stands for Lightroom 4. When we make the Lightroom 3 brushes, it'll have 3. So you know which ones are which. And the reason we did that is because we had lots of people with Lightroom 3 tools that they had purchased via Pretty Presets, and then they upgrade to Lightroom 4. Okay, so they may still be able to utilize some of those tools, and we wanted them to be able to differentiate between which ones were the 4 and which ones were the 3. So that's why we put 4 in front of them. Okay, so if you have any questions about installing those brushes and presets, write it down. At the end, I'll try and cover some of those questions. We're doing good. We're only 10 minutes into it, so that was quick. Okay, so I'm going to get started with, we'll go start with this one. And this picture is so sweet. I love it. And purple's my favorite color. If you go to Everyday Elements, you probably can tell that. I love purple, so that's probably why I'm starting with it. But I want to point out that these pictures have something that is going to give it a leg up in the edit process. And those who know me and have heard me talk before probably know what I'm going to say. The picture is well exposed. It's white balance is pretty good. We want to, actually, let's see. It's remembering. Oh, come on. Okay. Yep. All right. So the picture is well exposed to start with. It the white balance is really, I think, correct. If you, with white balance, that's the color temperature of your image. Try and get as close to it as correct as you can, just to save you editing time. And get, like I said, get close to it. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect, but get close, because if your picture is blue, then you're way off. If you can get close to it, that's going to give you a leg up. So it's well exposed. This image does not really need much. Okay, so if you're shooting pictures and you open it up and it's really, really dark or it's really, really bright, yes, we can edit. You can use these tools in Lightroom to help make those pictures much better. But I encourage you, after you're done with those, to go back and work on getting those pictures really well exposed to start with, just because it's going to cut down your editing time so much and make you overall just more pleased with the whole process. So this baby is very sweet. A few things that we would want to work on is we've got some purple toes here. They're so cute. A little bit of shine here and there, and maybe just soften up skin. Got a little crease right here in the middle I want to try and smooth out. But overall, very sweet image that I love. I'm going to make this smaller. There we go. It's going to be easy to edit. This one right here, we come back. This one has a few more problems. We've got some lighting issues. We've got very purple feet here that we need to deal with, a very red finger, red face. So this one's going to be a little bit more challenging, and we'll handle that one probably last. This one is easy, but we do have, again, red feet and red hands. And then this one, we're going to be cropping out and getting rid of the foot and the towel. A very sweet picture that you'll be surprised at how it turns out. Overall, the skin tones are very good. We do have a little red foot and a little red arm, but we'll get rid of those. So let's start with the easiest one first. What I recommend in any workflow is to try and tackle any problematic areas once you have a good clean edit. Well, the thing is, this picture here looks great as is. There's not much that we need to do to it, so I'm just going to tackle the red feet, a little bit of the red areas, and smooth out the skin, and then do some creative edits. So I'm going to close that up so we can, come on, have a bigger picture. I'm clicking on the arrow on the side, see that? So that it will disappear until I hover over it. That just gives you more editing surface. So when you're working and you're not going to be using the left panel very much, go ahead and close it down so that you do have a bigger surface. And we can do the same for that down there. So if I don't need the film strip on the bottom, we can have a much bigger surface to work with. Okay? So let me zoom in. I'm doing Command plus to zoom in because I lost my navigator, but I don't use it that much. But you can also zoom in right here with 1 to 1 is where we went to. Okay? And you can move around with by clicking in the box and moving around, or when you're in your picture, just hold your space bar down. Oops, not when you're zooming in. Just click. I'm sorry. When you're inside, when you is it side by side? There's a time when just the space bar. I just do it so automatically anymore. The space bar will create the pan tool really. So we can move around. So let's work on these little toes here and get these done. So I'm going to use my brush. When you're working with the brushes, you want to realize that you're going to have some different views. Your brushes may look like this, where you just have the effect name and an amount slider. Okay? If this is closed up, then all you're going to see is brush A, B, and erase and size. If this is what you're seeing when you first start using the brushes, click on the triangle, the black triangle, and more will open up. More options will open up. And this is how you can manipulate the brushes or change what you want. Lightroom comes with basic brushes of temp, tint, exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, clarity, saturation, sharpness, noise, I'm not French, moire, and color. And then your custom brushes that you add will be down here. Okay, so we got lots of brushes because a lot of them are Lightroom 3 brushes. So that's there. What you have down here, okay, Lightroom gives you the option of utilizing different brushes, but right now just, be on A or be on B and it's fine. The size of your brush is that circle. See the circle we see? You can change it right here, but really the easiest way to change your brushes is by holding down the bracket key that is to the right of the letter P on your keyboard. Okay, so if you look at P on your keyboard, go to the right, there's a right and left bracket key. The left bracket key makes it smaller and the right bracket key makes it bigger. The feather is how far out those the change in the pixels is going to blend, or not far out, how much it's going to blend, sorry, how much it's going to blend into the pixels around it. So if we have a low feather, a small feather, then that is going to be pretty, it's going to be a very defined area that gets changed, and we may not be able to see it too much here on that. So can you see the line that we've got there? See that line? That's because our brush had no feather, so it was very hard edges. Now, let me delete that, and I'm going to increase the feather, and we can do it again. But now you don't see where it started or stopped, do you? It's blending into the pixels around it. So that's what that feather means. Most of the time, you want a feather. A very large feather. I keep it on 100% most of the time. If I'm trying to be extremely precise, then sometimes I'll lower the feather down, but I never make it hard. Not in Lightroom. I will in Photoshop or Elements for different areas, for different reasons, and not necessarily photo editing, more graphic stuff. But generally going to use a high feather. The flow is how much of that effect I call it getting laid down, how much of that effect's laid down, but really how much of that effect that Lightroom is allowing to come through or be applied to that area, okay? But it is cumulative, so you can keep brushing over it and it'll eventually be 100%, like you could have just not bothered to reduce the flow. If you have a brush that you love and you use it a lot, but a lot of times it's too strong, you can reduce the flow if you only brushed over it once. But again, if you keep brushing over it, it's gonna keep adding it. So I don't generally use flow too much, I use density. And this means that no matter how many times I brush over that area, it's only gonna let that 60% of that change to come through. So if we're doing that, then it's only gonna let that ever come through like that. It's not, if I keep brushing, it's not cumulative, it's gonna stop at that point. If for some reason you have brushed and accidentally hit some areas, so I'm just going to do something really quick. I'm going to delete this. And, oh, sorry, it's already open. And let's just do the smooth skin. And I'm going to use this, we're going to talk about this overlay, but well, I'll do it right now. The overlay means that we are getting to see where we're brushing. Okay, we're getting to see where we're brushing. I selected it right down here. See this? It says show selected mask overlay, and I checked it. So it's going to put this red wherever I brush. And it's beneficial to do this when you're, especially for a skin smoothing, so you can see where you have already been and can quickly move on and not have to guess. Did I get there? And keep brushing over it. So it's just quicker. My Lightroom is dragging a little bit, y'all, because I'm running Camtasia, and my Mac needs to get some stronger juice in it so it can run those two programs together without any lag. So it is my Lightroom's a little slow right now, and I apologize for that. Okay, so we've got this red mask. If you don't want to ever see that, there are times when I don't want the mask. I don't want to see where I'm brushing because I want to see the effect. I want to see what's going on. So right now I can't see the effect until I turn off the overlay. So now I can see the effect. But there's times when I want to see the effect as I do it, and so I uncheck that. So you can just be aware of that. Another thing is, this has happened quite frequently where people buy the brushes and Pretty Presets and they start using them and they'll say, hey, they're just coming off red. What's going wrong? These are not working. They're just red. And it's that their mask overlay is on, and you know that's what they need to turn. They just need to hit done so they can see that it's been applied, or turn it off. Okay, so we see the mask overlay and I can click done, and my brushes are going to close up, and then we can see the change in it that's been applied. Let's create, talk a little bit more about brushes. Oh, I was in the skin smoothing. Okay, so once you open up the brushes, right? All right, show me my pen. Must be up here. There it is. These little things are called the pins, and what they are is showing you everywhere you started a brush. Okay, everywhere you started a brush. And if I want to do some more skin smoothing over here, then I'm going to click new because I clicked on that pin. And once you click on the pin, it's active again, okay? And you will just increase that same area. If you want to create a whole new area to brush on, or to brush on a whole new area, click new, and now it'll, wherever we start, we'll put down another pin, okay? And we can brush. And I'm not being very particular, I'm just doing it. Okay, so now we got two pins. We got that pin, which was for the face, and we have this pin, which was for this arm and shoulder right here, right? Now, I'm going to jump back over here so you can see how this happens. This pin is now active, and if I start brushing, it's this pin that I'm brushing into, this area. I'm using the skin smoothing brush, and I covered up the eyes, which you generally don't want to do. You want to stay away from the eyelid, the eyebrows usually, and the eyelashes. You can get over the eyelids, but try not to hit the eye area right here. But I did, and I did it for a reason, because I want to show you the erase brush. So if you hit an area you didn't mean to, you can click on erase, and here you still have a choice of the feather, which I still want to make it nice, good feather. And now I'm going to erase it from right here because I don't want this to be smoothed out. Want that to be defined. Make sure we get it off the lips. She didn't. Okay, so that's how you can erase. If you want to compare, you can click on the before after, so we can see before and after the skin smoothing. I'm going to click back on the large rectangle, and it's going to just show us the one. Another thing you can do when you're in your brushes, if you want to see the change, like take away all the brushes and see your change, see this little, it's a rectangle with a white square and a black square. It's on white right now. We're going to click on the black, so it turns it off. So there's before, and there's after. And that can help sometimes just to see, okay, how are my changes going? What's really going on? Am I in the right direction? That kind of thing. If ever you do use a brush and you don't like it, just click on it and hit delete. On a PC, you don't get that cute little poof. Sorry. So if you go to delete and you're thinking, is it really deleting? I don't see the poof. That's special to a Mac. I'm sorry. I had a friend say, I feel cheated. I want the poof on my PC. But poofs are just on the Macs. Maybe next time. All right. It's awkward because I love the questions in the middle, so it's hard not to get those questions right now to keep moving forward. I'm trying to think everything. So those are the brushes, and that's how to use the brushes. So now let's show some brushes that are very helpful for editing newborns. Okay. So newborns or babies generally have trouble with their extremities. You know, Their hands and feet are often red, purple, you know, just never a not often a healthy color. They have a hard time with their well, I can't think of the word, blood flow. They can't, they're having trouble getting it to their extremities. And so that's why they're often pink or purple. And there is a brush for that. It was open. And it's fixed reds or fixed magentas. And the reason for the fixed magenta is because when you see a foot that looks purple, it's really probably more magenta. Okay, so use the fixed magenta. With this, it's more red to me, so I'm gonna fix reds. And I'm gonna Control plus to zoom in and hold down my space bar and click my mouse to move over. And I want the full effect. Now we can brush. And my Lightroom is so slow right now. I'm gonna turn off the mask so we can see it. Okay. And we can turn it off. So before, after, and it did help. And what I may do now, this is our brush settings. I may actually increase the exposure just a little bit, just like that. Okay, so I like that. I'm gonna hit done. I like the feet to have a little bit more of a redness than the rest of the body, because if it blends perfectly with it, it doesn't even look right. Because even adults' feet are a little, you know, a little pinkish. So let it be a little pink. Don't make it completely flesh colored, skin tone color, because then it's going to look a little strange. So let it be a little different. Okay. What I want to do too is just a little bit of the red right in here. My Lightroom's jumping around here for me. Just a little bit. This picture really was sweet all on its own and didn't need much. So because I probably don't need as much in the other areas, I'm going to lower the density down because I don't need much. Let me get a little bit right here. Sweet. These little baby pimples, this is very easy to fix with the clone tool, which we'll do in a minute. Okay, we'll do that in a minute. What I want to do is keep on with the brushes, and in the brush set that is debuting tonight, there's 10 brushes. Add flesh tone, and I'll talk about why that is there in a little bit. Brighten, clarity, darken, define lashes, fix magenta, fix reds, fix yellows, lips, and skin smooth. And this skin smooth is different than the skin smooth in the portrait editing. It has a few little nuances to it that are a little different. Same with the lips, because with the babies they're a little different than with, you know, with women, whereas that's what you would use with the portrait brush that is for the lips is more for a woman. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And so remember how I lowered my density down when I was using the reds over here, the fixed reds? So pay attention to that, because there are times when I'm editing so fast I'll forget to check this. And the last brush I had used, I had lowered the density way down. And so when I was editing, I was like, gosh, why is this not, you know, having as much of an effect as it normally does? And it's the density, so I need to pay attention to that and move that back up. And if an effect is too strong, so if we do this and we decide, it's a little too much, you know, gosh, it looks like the baby's got lipstick on her lips, then what we can do when that happens, what you can do is click this triangle again. Okay, click that triangle. What we can do is lower it down. Actually, with this, because we're darkening, we want to increase it. Oops, I'm sorry, darken it. I mean, lower it. With the depth and drama, you have to go the opposite direction. Okay, so you can reduce the amount of it, so it's not as much of it is showing through. There's one that I have to go the opposite direction with. So you can turn it on the side. There it is, fully extended. Click the triangle and change the amount. If you want to darken it, you can increase the amount. And I'm sorry, it's slow because of my Lightroom. See that? Okay, that's at 30. And that's going to be it. That's at 2. Let's go back up. There's a delay. And that's at 10. Probably go to 6. Sometimes with the brushes that darken things, you do have to be careful with the amount because that is when you might want to go opposite. I'm trying to think of which one it is, but I'm sorry to confuse you. Apologize for that. Okay, so we got little lips, and I want to define the little eyes right here because it's beautiful. They're sleeping, but there's no eyelashes there, so it can get lost. And if we can define it, I closed out. But when you're going from brush to brush to brush, so let's say I had just, let's say I had just done the skin smoothing, okay, or this redness here, or the skin smoothing. What you need to do is click new in between each one, okay? You have to click new between each one. Write this down if you are new to brushes. You have to click new to each one, between each one, because if you're in one brush and then you click to go to another one without clicking new, let's just do something like darken. See what happened? The pen we just were in, the area we just did, now changed to the new brush. And let's say you went from skin smoothing, you forgot to click new, and then you went into something else, say sharpen. Well, then you're moving on down the road and you're looking at the skin 10 minutes later thinking, gosh, that skin doesn't look very smooth. What happened? I know I smoothed it and said it looks, all edgy and doesn't look good. Well, it's because you just changed the area you smoothed into the sharpen brush. So you have to click new in between each one. I'm backing up, doing Command Z or Control Z. Oh, I'm sorry. For PC users, anytime I say Command, it's Control. Apologize for that. Anytime I hear Command, it's Control. And I'm usually pretty good about saying Command and Control, and I don't know why I got out of that. Okay, so we want to click New in between each one. So click New, and now let's go to the Define Lashes. Even though there's no lashes here, I want to define this little slit that's there. And I'm going to open this up so I can just see everything. I probably don't want to use the full density, so I'm going to lower it down, or I could have lowered flow down as long as I went over it one time. Make my brush small, and I'm just going to brush over like that. Okay, and it's too much. I think it's a little too much. So I'm going to turn it on its side and lower it down. Okay. Before, after. Okay. I'm going to quickly just get rid of some of these little baby bumps. If you've not used the clone heel brush, it's very easy. There's clone or heel. With this, I'm going to use the heel, and you just click on it. That's good. Click, and it's going to try and figure out what it should look like. You can click on the area and the circle and drag it around. That looks good. Okay. I think that looks good. All right, I want to darken this little area of shine just a little bit. And hit darken. I'm going to lower the density down some, because I just want to darken this just a little bit. See, it's too much, isn't it? See that? There's actually a reduced shine brush that we need to get out there. Okay, that looks better. Done. And when I was editing this earlier, I did get the crease out, but I kind of want to move along so we don't lose too much time. I'm going to use the brighten brush, which is strong, so I'm going to lower it down a good bit. So I just want to brighten this area up, and it'll help. Reduce that a little bit. Okay. So we've done just a quick edit to the baby. We can see a side by side. Again, we haven't changed much because there wasn't much to really, do to this edit, to this picture. But now what we're going to do is create a snapshot, okay? And just do clean. If you want to start with a clean edit, this picture, the white balance looked great. The exposure was great. So I didn't mess with it. If your picture is underexposed or overexposed, you would fix it. You would fix the white balance, okay? So you want to fix those things first. Do that clean, just to give us a good base to know for comparison. When you're working with presets, however, okay, these presets are going to change all of this, possibly, if the preset, if the person recording it did utilize exposure or change the temp and tint, it's going to overwrite your settings, okay? It will not overwrite the brushes. It will overwrite anything you did over here if they utilize those, okay? So watch these sliders here when I do baby blue, okay? So see how it changed the exposure and contrast? It changed all this. Presets are not like actions, okay? Actions will be layered on top of each other. Presets are not that way, unless they're a post. And a pretty preset she will do. So these are incremental changes. The posts are just an incremental change, like a center light, okay? There we go. So it's incremental, but the rest of them are global, and they're going to change lots of things at once, not necessarily just one little thing. So we can play with the different presets, and you can see in the navigator. If you don't see your navigator, you're like, where is it? It's at the very top, and it might be closed up. So just click on the triangle, and then you can see it. You can hover over it, over each preset, to see each one's difference. Okay. Now, what I want to encourage you though is, because sometimes the preview might, you're like, oh, that didn't look good, but give it a try, because it might look better than you think. Okay. So Color Me Pretty. That one is really sweet. I'd have to back off of I'd probably have to go in there and delete the lips brush, but it's really cute, isn't it? Okay, very dramatic, very dramatic. Let's see. There's Faded Memories. Let's see which one I see. Dotted Blankets I had done. Soft and Sweet I liked. There's Soft and Sweet. I really like this one. Now, when you find a preset you really like, but there's something, something come on, something is a little off. And with this one, she's a little green to me. She looks a little green. So the temp and tint, I'm going to move it a little more towards the magentas, just a little bit. And then I'm going to come down here to the color. Now the color panel is where a lot of the change is going on. And we can tell that by clicking on this box here. So it's going to turn off that color. So there is without the HSL adjustment. Okay, there's without it. There's with it. So we know the majority of the change is going on here. And I think it's with the oranges and greens. So I'm going to first go to the oranges. And see this hue slider? I have a feeling it's this. I'm going to pull this hue slider back over there. Give it a minute to catch up. And I think that's better. I think that's what was making it a little green. So I very quickly was able to tailor this preset to this picture. And just like with actions, because a lot of you already have Elements or Photoshop, most presets, just like most actions, are not one size fit all. So don't run presets on one or two pictures and think, oh my gosh, these don't look good on any of them. Well, it's probably because they, or just say you run one or two presets on one or two pictures, and you're like, oh my gosh, this doesn't work for any of them. Well, it may not work for that particular lighting situation or that particular color situation, the white balance of that area. So play with presets on different type images because they are not one size fit all. I have some favorite presets that I use on a lot of things, but there are some type of images I cannot use them on. They just don't look that good on. They are not one size fit all. So just remember that. So I love this, and what I'll do is create a snapshot and call it Soft and Sweet. Now, what I can do is go back to Clean, and then go back to Soft and Sweet. Okay? We can go start back at Clean to play with another preset. And I think another one that I had used on it was Vintage Baby, which I think was really sweet too. Okay, so really like that, and we could tailor it. We can add different things. There's a soft vignette. We can add, or if we, center light. If your baby is a little red, there's a reduced reds. Now we've, this baby isn't red. We will utilize that on another picture. Okay, so we've created some different looks for this one image, and we can export them one at a time to give the different, which one was this? Soft vintage, baby vintage, I think, right? So we've got these different looks that we can go between. Okay. If you like the clean look, you can add a vignette to that. You can add some more center light. There's other things you can do to it, but I just want to quickly move on. I didn't realize how late it was getting. With this picture, I wanted to show you this picture because this one, it looks like you think, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can salvage this one, but you can. You can. So let's crop it down and level it out some. Whoops. Escape. I want to lock. Oh, stop. I want to lock that down. I want to keep it the same proportion as the original picture size. Okay. But see, I want to level it out, so I'm going to drag it around a little bit. Gonna get her toe out of there. Okay. Okay, so we can work with that. So what I'm gonna do is, because this one doesn't need much really, maybe brighten the face and a little bit of the red right there and smooth out the skin a little bit, I'm gonna start with a preset, and I'm going to, these baby presets really are good. And I think I use Soft Orchid with it. There we go. I think I like that. But I'm going to warm it up just a little bit. Okay, use your temp and tint if you want to warm things up just a tad. Play with it a little bit. And I think I want a little more contrast. So I'm going to the tone curve. Hopefully you're familiar with all your panels. We can create good contrast with this if we click on where it says the point curve linear and go to medium contrast. There we got some good contrast going there. I really like that. I'm going to add in a vignette, and now I'm going to just mess with the brushes a little bit, and I'm going to go to the fixed reds. Again, it's the baby feet often are what gives us the most trouble, the extremities. Change your density. See, the density was lower? Pay attention to your density. If you've changed your feather, pay attention to your feather and see what's going on. My mask overlay is turned off, so you're not seeing the red. so we can see the change as it is. There's a little delay because my Lightroom's running a little slow, but then you'll see it. Now I want to create a different pen for that so I can do it. So I'm going to hit new. I'm using the same brush, but I want to create a new pen to start with because I might need to tweak it a little bit. Get that red out right there. I'm moving a little faster right now. Okay, so I'm going to do new. Maybe we should new in between your brushes. And let's smooth the skin. Skin smooth. Now this, I'm going to show you a really quick tip for this. And if you're in a hurry, just brush everywhere. Okay. Let me show the mask overlay here. Come on. There we go. You can just brush everywhere and then erase where you don't want it. Okay, so that is a fast cheat. Fast cheat. Now let's hit erase. And we can erase where we want it. Okay. What I want to do is I want to add a little more contrast, I think, to this. Just leave it there. Okay, much sweeter than when I first saw the picture. You know, I thought, oh, this is, you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but it's really adorable, and I think it's very, very sweet. So you can, the preset really helped make it, and then cropping in. Um, this is one that has where we're going to use the magenta. Okay, we're going to use the magenta very quickly. Fix magenta because it's just more of a purpley look than red to me. Okay, so we're going to do that. Again, if it's too strong, you can lower your density, or we can lower the amount after we've applied it. So that really helped it a good bit. You can even do it twice, okay? So we can do a whole nother one where we do it again if it's really problematic, okay? So you can do it multiple times. And let's get in here. I'm going to increase the exposure just a little bit. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Done. There we go. With the reds and magentas, don't think that it's just for the feet and hands, because look at this. We got some just sometimes just from being handled, you know, rubbing their faces, things like that can create it, or even little stork bites. Okay, so you can use the magentas and reds, fix magentas, fix reds on those type things also. So we'll do that right here. Let's see what we can get here. All right. Oh, it's gonna need more help. Okay, and I'm running out of time. I would want to delete that. Because I'm gonna lower it down. Click on it. Click on the pen that's problematic, okay? And let's lower that amount down. think I hit some areas that I shouldn't have hit. I should have made that brush smaller. When you're working with small areas, make sure your brush isn't hitting areas that you don't want it to hit, okay? So make sure you don't do that. Ideally, I would have time to smooth the skin on this picture, okay? But I'm running out of time. And I think with this one, I'm trying to remember what I had used on it. Play with it and find different ones that you like. Really like this one, but I want to increase the contrast some. Like that. So play with it. I'm running out of time here. We're having a special, gosh, it's gone quick. We're having a special on the Dream Baby collection for editing newborns, and the brushes. They're all 25% off right now. Okay, Dream Baby and all brushes are 25% off, and the newborn brushes are available for Lightroom 4 only. They're normally $10, but we're on sale for $7.50. Okay, so if you want to use these brushes for editing newborns, then they're on sale for $7.50. There's 10 of them again. But brushes are a great way for editing newborns for those small adjustments. Okay, and it's add flesh tone. I didn't have a chance, but it's for those times when the feet look a little grayish. It's going to add a little bit of a color to it. Brighten, clarity, darken, define lashes, fix magenta, fix reds, fix yellows, lips, skin smooth. Those are all part of that. And then the Dream Baby is baby blue, color and light, raw, color me pretty, on down. And then there's some that just add particular things like a vignette or center light. Okay, so soft center light, or to add a vignette, things like that. My Lightroom's running slow. All right, so let's open it up for questions, and it can be about anything. Let me make sure here. All right, Ken, ask questions. So ask them in the chat box. And I'm not seeing it. Laura, are you seeing the questions? All right, no, their questions are not in the chat box. I'm sorry. Okay, here's the questions for me right here. It seems different than the last time I did it. Started. Okay. How long is the sale? For an hour. Crystal Jones asked, how long is the sale? Is for an hour. Okay. When you're using the presets, sometimes it's one thing that will cause it to hiccup, okay? One thing. And if you'll go through and turn off those little boxes, turn off each one, I'll show you that, then you can identify which one is causing the problem, and or causing it not to jive with your image, and then you can tweak that. Really quick, somebody asked, can you use Lightroom 3 brushes in Lightroom 4? They're not going to work the same because they've changed the exposure, they've changed a lot of the things. So we're retrofitting trying to retrofit the old Lightroom 3 brushes to Lightroom 4 but as they come out to Lightroom 4, they're bundled differently than they were bundled before. But good question. But you can always still use it if you use the old process. Can these brushes be used in Lightroom 3? No. But Lightroom 3 brushes, the baby brushes will be coming out for Lightroom 3 within the week. Why are we using a DNG file? Kathy asked that. DNG is the same as it's a raw file, but it's a digital negative. So anytime I bring in raw files, I convert them to a digital negative. And what that is just a generic raw format. So let's say you're using an DSLR, and Olympus, sorry, and you're shooting raw, and then 3 years from now, Olympus says, we're discontinuing our DSL line. And then 5 years from now, Adobe says, okay, we're no longer going to continue doing updates for the Olympus cameras. Well, then you may have trouble being able to access those raw files in newer Adobe products. But if you convert them to a digital negative, then you will always be able to access those files. I hope that makes sense. And they're actually, there's same functionality. They open up an ACR. Everything's identical, okay, except for it's generic, and it, instead of being a Nikon format or a Canon format or an Olympus format, it's generic, and it's actually a little bit smaller file size. All right. Lisa, you're welcome. I'm so glad they're going to help you use that. Let's see. Do you recommend using auto mask for deleting brush area while using the brush? Good question. And what she meant by the auto mask, see this right here, it says auto mask. I have found that, let's just do a new one and let's turn on auto mask. When you're brushing on things, the auto mask will, come on. It's like a smart mask, and it's going to try and figure out where you don't want to be, okay? But sometimes that can be problematic, and I've found that I turn it off. So I don't use it, but if it works for you, hey, go for it, because really it's fine. It really is fine. I used to have it on, I don't anymore, and it's really okay. This is recorded, Gail, except for I failed to record the part about installing it, and Laura will, I think, have it available at some time in the near future, but I'm not sure how near. Can I show how to get the before and after preview again? Okay, there's a couple different ways you can do before and afters. So let's come down to like this one here. Okay, this is showing the image, the after image. Where you see YY, oh come on, I'm getting the, there we go. When you see YY, that is before and after. So just click on it, and there's different ways you can show before and after. You can show it side by side like this. If you click on the triangle, you can do a split, and you can, you know, move it around and enlarge it if you want to see a closer view. My Mac is struggling here. For those who don't know, when you get that spinning rainbow, it's like, please don't be the rainbow wheel of death. Okay, you can do top, bottom. It's not liking to change the before and afters, is it? Okay, we can do that. If you want to see before and after with just the brushes, okay, to turn off before and after brushes, let's say, let's go back to our clean preset here, our clean one, Snapshot. Let's go back to that one. Okay, when you have the brushes, if you want to see just before and after the brushes, when you're in the brush, just click on the where it's white, click on the black. So there's without them, there's with them. Okay, now let's say you're at a point where you can't figure out the side by side, get the side by side. It's like it's not right here, is it? It's not right here because we're in the middle of a brush. We'd have to click done to see the side by sides. There's another way. You can go to your history, and we can scroll all the way down to this point, okay, and then scroll back up to the top. Now this one just has the brush adjustments. That's all it has. It doesn't have anything else. No newborn brushes right now for Lightroom 3, but within the next few days. The things on sale, Hannah Paget. Oh, Hannah, same last name as me. The things on sale. I don't meet too many Pagets online with 2T. The Dreamy Baby and all brushes all Lightroom brushes are on sale right now for 25% off. Okay? There's no code. They're just on sale. And the baby brushes are $7.50 right now. Okay? $7.50. How do I create the snapshots? Great question. Okay, so let's just do something really quick with this picture. Somebody asked how to do the snapshots. This picture right here is a really quick. This is a great example where you could use the graduated filters. Okay, that we have. So we want to brighten because this side of the image is dark and this side of the image is light. So we could brighten up this side a little bit, and then click New. And then we could go, come on, to darken and darken this side to kind of balance it, give us a balance better, okay? That is a good example. So now let's just do really quick, let's do a snapshot. Let's just play with, let's do baby blue. There's baby blue. And I'm going to up the contrast a little bit and add contrast there. There we go. I love that. I think it's so sweet, and I'd have to crop it a little bit, but let's do a snapshot. So we're going to scroll down. Come on. All right, scroll down and see where it says snapshots. We've got collections, then history, then snapshots. Just click on the plus sign. That's all you need to do. And then we can name, I usually name it. So this was baby blue. I usually name the preset so I know what I used. I can reference it later, stuff like that. So there's a snapshot. Great question. Here I would go to brighten this area and get the red out right there. Touch up the feet a little bit, but that one didn't need too much help. Eunice asked, do you have similar brushes programs for Photoshop? With Photoshop, you would need to use actions and then they're going to be a black mask usually, and use a regular simple white brush to affect just the small areas. So no, the brushes in Lightroom are extremely different. They're like apples and cantaloupes, okay? They're very different than Photoshop and Elements. All these changes are raw. Good question. Jennifer asks, are all these changes in raw? This was a raw image. You can still use the brushes on a JPEG. So I don't know if that was how that question was asked in terms of raw versus JPEG. Or these changes are all being applied, but they're not final until this image is exported. Okay, because we can reset it. This is all very non-destructive editing. Nothing gets like smacked to this image until it's exported. This is raw, and I use the raw presets. There is a JPEG preset collection for this, okay? So if you're editing JPEGs, use the JPEG because they are very, very different. The preset collections, she has them both for JPEG and RAW, and you want to make sure to get the, JPEG for JPEGs and RAWs for RAWs. I believe she does have a tutorial, I was trying to think, on using the raw ones on JPEGs, but I can't remember. Can you stack presets one and then do another combine? Okay, great question. Barb asked, can you stack presets? Generally, no. Okay, so this is a creative, let's say a creative preset, and you like it, and then you're just like, oh, well, Vintage Baby would look good on top of this too. It doesn't work that way. Not unless you export it as a TIFF, bring that TIFF back in, then you can add the next preset on top of the TIFF. You can do that, but on top of the raw, no, you can't layer it. Now they do have posts, okay, and those you can do one. You can layer those posts. I think that was that spring sunflare set. I forget the name of it. Sorry, and you can layer those. So some you can. And some you can, but mostly you can't. Can presets for Lightroom 3 be used in the Lightroom 4? Yes, but you have to change your process, okay? So if you're in you go to Settings and Process and change to the 2010 process. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. I need to upgrade to Lightroom 4 to use the brushes. How long? But Glenda, if you have Lightroom 3, the Lightroom 3 ones will be coming out within the week. I believe Lightroom 2 can use Lightroom 3 brushes. I can't remember. I didn't use Lightroom 2. I bought it and never used it. Let's see. Do you recommend doing brushes or presets as your first edit? I generally start with the brushes and get a clean snapshot, and then go mess with the presets, because the presets are not going to overwrite any of the brushes at all. You can use presets in Lightroom 3. Yes, Paula. The Lightroom 3 brushes will be available with, I would say, by Thursday. Wednesday. Okay, lots of Lightroom 3 babies. Okay. Can your presets be used for raw images or JPEG too? Okay, I answered that. Why don't I use a mask when you use a brush? Okay, good question. But remember, I hope any of those who are just new to Lightroom, coming from Photoshop or from Elements, please let me make clear that masks in Lightroom are nothing like masks in Photoshop. A mask in Lightroom is only showing you where you brushed. Okay, that's all it's doing. It's not revealing, concealing, it's none of that. Okay, because that's what masks are doing in Photoshop and in Elements. Masks in Lightroom are showing you where your adjustment is going down. So let's zoom into this picture here. I zoomed in big time. And let's get a brush, and I'm going to do the reds, fix reds, and I'm going to lower it down just a little bit here. And why wouldn't I want to use the mask? So right now the mask is on. But let's say I want to make sure that this is working, like it's doing what I want it to do. Maybe I need to increase the density, things like that. So I would turn it off so I could see the change. Okay, so it's going to, when I have the mask off, I got a delay here, it is showing me, come on, it is showing me the change. Whereas if I had the mask, I would see red until I clicked done or got a new brush. Okay, and I'm going to do it again here. I really need to brighten this. The area is very dark right here, so it really needs to get brightened. But that's why I would not use a mask. A lot of the times I do use a mask. It's happening when I first start. So if you have the portrait brushes, the teeth and eye whitening, I like to see what is going on, and that I don't use the mask overlay. Okay? If you're not seeing your pins, okay, see where it says show edit pins? I always want to see my pins, always. But you might get distracted by them. You might get frustrated, whatever. You can click never, okay? Those are the simplest ones to do, okay? So just keep it on always or never, but I highly recommend keeping it on always. I just do. Remember, when you click on a pin, that you've then activated that pin. And regardless of if you show mask or not, it's going to show you what that pin was doing, okay? Let's say we did something, we did skin smoothing everywhere, and then I decided, oh gosh, that's really too strong. I could click on the pin, turn it on its side, and reduce the amount. Okay. You don't need a code for the sale. A lot of RAW versus JPEG images. Questions, sorry. Good question. Stephanie, I love that question. How blemish-free do you try to make the face? Do you try to keep some reality, only touch up major blemishes? Newborn skin is so difficult. That is really a personal preference. I see some pictures out there where the baby looks perfect. But you know, maybe that's what the parents want. That's what the photographer normally delivers. So that's what they're expecting. So, you know, but if you prefer to have a little more reality to it, and then people hire you, then that's what they want. That's what they're expecting. Okay, my personal preference is to leave the baby a little flawed. Okay, I don't try and fix every little thing. I don't try and make everything perfect, because I mean, babies have issues. I do try and take care of little pimples. I mean, gosh, I mean, I would rather not have those. But little stork bites, things like that. I don't try and edit away every little thing about a baby. Little milk. You know, if the baby just nursed or whatever, and it's got little milk crustiness, try and get rid of that. Um, but I try and let the baby still look human. I like some skin textures too. I don't want it to be plastic. But that's a great question, but it's really a personal preference. And you know, once you decide what you want, keep on down the road, and then you know that if people hire you, that's what they've seen your pictures and that's what they're expecting. I hope that answered it. How do you export them once you've done the final snapshots? Bobby, great question, and that's probably going to be the topic of our next webinar because so many people don't understand the export process. And those who know me, like Carol, will know I get a little giddy when I get to export because I love to export. I mean, it's just fun, and it's fluid, and it's just so elegant. I love it. Okay, you can export. What does export mean? That sounds so foreign. Like, oh my gosh, what is exporting? It's taking a raw file or a JPEG that you have in Lightroom, and it's going to apply the changes you made, almost like you put it in a press, and it's going to squeeze it down, and then it's going to, if you want to rename the file, if you want it to go to a special folder, if you want to resize it for the web, if you want to sharpen it, it does all those things during the export process. And that's how we will then turn it into a JPEG. Okay, if you have a RAW. So here we have a RAW file. Let's do this one. And actually, I'm going to show you, we can go to our snapshots. Let's maybe go to baby vintage. Okay, so we have this one, and I'm really close up, sorry. Okay, so we've got baby vintage. And I'm going to go to, you can export from the develop module, we're in develop, or you can export from the library. I can go to file, export right from the develop module. So I don't have to switch over to the library. And now I can rename the file, okay? Actually, I don't want it to go to the CD, I want it to go to the hard drive. I burned something the other day to a CD. All right, so export it to a specific folder or to the same folder as the original. That's what I usually do. I usually put it in a subfolder named web. Like if I'm going to resize it for the web, I can change the name. I can change the format. Like if I want to export it as a DNG or as a TIFF, I can. Let's do it as a JPEG. I can resize it. Okay, so let's say I only want it 600 pixels wide, and maybe for the, you know, like for exporting for the web, I can sharpen for the screen. I can add a watermark. And so once I export, it's taking all the changes, smushing it down, super gluing it together. It's got a new picture, new file. We're going to have a JPEG file. It has the original name, but I could have renamed it webinar sample picture 1 or whatever. You know, you can name it whatever you want to name it. Usually what I do is add edit at the end of the file name, so I kind of know when I'm looking at the hard drive folders, you know, what is done. So here we have the JPEG file now, and it's ready to go to the web because I've resized it and sharpened it for the web. Wait for it to come up. It's really slow here. Maybe it won't ever come up. Come on. There we go. So there it's showing me in the preview that that's the picture, and we're good to go. Okay. Can you get Dreamy Baby for Lightroom 3? Yes, and I think. Laura? I thought so. I think so, Danielle. We'll find out. How many brushes included? 10. I love you, Carol. I can't wait either. Okay. I'm sorry for all these cryptic messages. Will we have a chance to view the webinar again if we forget anything or get stuck? Yes, there will be another chance to watch it. Oh, you have a stylist. You know, I think you can, definitely. Gail asked, can new be programmed? Can new be programmed on my stylus? New, you mean the new brush, the B brush? I have the Wacom stylus, the Intuos 4. What is the sale again? It's just on sale, Barb. There's no coupon code. The Dreamy Baby and all brushes are on sale for 25% off. Dawn asked, were these images shot and edited raw? Yep, this DNG is a raw format. These are raw files. Can I explain Snapshot again? Carrie, let me know, because I did that. I don't know if your question was already there, and since I've already covered the snapshots. Explain difference between presets and actions. Okay, presets are only in Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw for Photoshop, not Elements, Adobe Camera Raw. And what they do is they are recordings of the develop panel settings that somebody has said, oh, I like this, and I'm going to record it for future use. It will overwrite any any of the changes you've made to the develop panel. You know, if you do your changes first and then apply the preset. So if you know you're going to do the presets, a lot of times I'll edit with the brushes a little bit and then use the presets and then tweak from there. So like if I run a preset and it's too bright, I can just lower the exposure down. You know, I'm good to go. So you kind of just tweak the presets to fit your picture. Actions are layers. They run off of the layer concept in Photoshop. So you have all these different adjustment layers, and it's just like I said, it's like apples and cantaloupes. You know, they're extremely different. Their actions are also pre-recorded steps, but they're fundamentally different because it's layers. It's like transparencies. If you think about overhead transparencies, it's layers. Let's see. If you make an exposure white balance change before applying a preset, what do you do to not lose those changes? You don't. Good question, Francesca. You don't. Okay, so that's why sometimes you want to get that white balance as close to right as you can in the camera. So when you're running the preset, if they tweak it any, you can always just go back. You can reset that temp and tip to what you want it to be. Okay, but there's no way to hold firm to your develop panel settings. The thing is, though, you can create that snapshot, so you can always go back to it. Or Command Z undoes a preset, the last step. Command Z is in zebra. Or Control. So sorry, gosh, I'm usually saying Control and not Command, and I've gone Command crazy. Okay. Can I explain more about the color module you just adjusted? Okay, I'm thinking you're saying HSL, and this is probably the last question because I have a 40-minute drive home. Okay, I adjusted the HSL, and that's a very good question, and it's a very misunderstood. And let's go back to like clean here. It's a misunderstood panel. Okay, so let's go to it. It's HSL color. So let's just click on it just click and open. There's different views. First of all, if you click on HSL, you're going to see this view. Okay, see that. Or you might see just saturation. So you might see that, or you might see hue. So this gives you different ways to see the same thing. Okay, so it's giving us the opportunity to manipulate colors in this picture on a global platform. Okay, so it's going to change the reds everywhere in the picture, not just on the feet or on the cheek. It's going to change reds over everything, or oranges or yellows. It'll change. We can affect the saturation or the luminance. That's the lightness of it. Real quick, color. If we change to color, it's the same thing. Again, we have hue, saturation, luminance. If we change to greens, hue, saturation, luminance. It's given us different ways to see the same thing. So let's just go to this one. And let's focus on the hue really quick. In Lightroom with skin tones, for Caucasians, Hispanics, Asians, it's going to be the primary color in the skin is orange. When you're in Photoshop or Elements, the primary color in it is red and yellow. In Lightroom, it's orange, then red, and then yellow. Sometimes orange, then yellow, then red, but it's that. So if we decide, let me get rid of those pins there. If we decide the skin tone's a little off, or the baby looks a little too yellow or a little too red, let's say the baby looked a little too red. Come in and first play with the oranges. And you can, if you turn it, pull it to the left, and see how it's adding in yellows and greens? See that? If we pull it to the right, it's going to add in yellow, reds and magentas. So there we go. So when I ran a preset and the baby looked a little green to me, I went to the orange hue and pulled, and it was like at 13, I think it's what it was at. And I thought, okay, that's just a little too much. And so I pulled it back towards the right, and it helped make the skin look less green and back to more of a flesh color. And that's about as much as I can get into it with that. Okay. Do I edit every image that you show a customer? Well, one, I have not had time in a long time to do the pro shoot. Two, I do soft proof, so I will make sure that I fix any exposure and contrast issues and add a touch of sharpening. But then I let them see that and let them know that their images will be fully edited. But I've learned that makes me, it just saves time. And when your image is like, you could have definitely shown this picture straight out of the camera to the client. Again, these are not my pictures. These are from Lisa, who is a wonderful support and friend to Laura. But so try and get them as good as you can out of the camera, and that way, if I give her in the gallery, because I've done several newborns, but if I put up 20 pictures, they're only going to pick like 5 or 10 of them. That way I'm not having to edit every picture. So personally, I don't. But I'll tell you, Gail, some people are very avid that they don't let a client see anything until it's edited. So again, it's a personal preference. Okay, Tina said that she downloaded her Dream Baby, but they seem scattered, not in the same area. How do you fix it? Okay, good question. I don't have time to answer that right now. You want to delete them. You'd want to go into your preference folder, Tina, delete them. Okay, as long as you still have them somewhere else on your computer. Delete them. Go back to where you saved that file, and it sounds like you needed to copy over the folder. Instead, it sounded like you copied over the individual presets. I think that's what it sounds like. So you want to make sure to copy the folder. Remember, y'all, when you when you're doing the presets, these presets, you copy over the folder. When you're doing the brushes, I don't care where they're from, you want to copy over the individual files, okay? So they're the opposite. So individual files for brushes, folders for presets. I hope that is clear and helpful. Because when you do that, then your presets will be in the folders. But there's no folders for the brushes, unfortunately. Maybe for Lightroom 5 they'll come out with that. Okay. Okay, cool. Good question. I cannot stop myself. I love questions. Okay, Addie said, can you talk about the advantages and disadvantages between clone and heal? Typically, I'll use heal. Heal is gonna the computer language with that one is more of a heal. It's going to look for the area around it and try and blend in. It's going to try and correct that blemish or that whatever it is with the pixels that are around it. Whereas clone, when you go over an area that's clone, it's going to look for an area to make identical to it. So they work off a little differently. When I'm working with blemishes on the skin, I always use heal. When I am trying to clone out things that are clutter, then I'll use clone. Hopefully that's clear. What's the purpose of a snapshot? Stacy asked. Purpose of a snapshot is so that you can see, well, a couple different reasons. One, you can go back to a different state. So let's say you're editing along, you've got a nice, good, clean edit, and you're happy with that, and you want to say, okay, I want to get back to this point very easily, should anything go awry down the road. Should anything go wrong 10 minutes from now? So doing the snapshot just gives you a quick way to find back to that particular moment in time. And then if you run a preset and you do a little more tweaks, a little more edits, then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to go back to the other one and start from there. I'm just going to stop there. That kind of thing, So you can use it as stepping stones to get back to quickly. or you can do it to create multiple looks. So you can either create virtual copies and run different presets on the virtual copies, or honestly, I just a lot of times just do snapshots because I'm usually just going to find the one I like the best and export that one, period. If you want to export one picture in multiple versions, say like a color, a vintage, and a black and white, then you would want to create virtual copies and run those presets on the virtual copies, because then you can export all three at once. Hopefully that's clear and more than clear as mud. Gail said the skin smooth brush replaces portraiture. I wouldn't see the need for using portraiture in Lightroom. For one thing, Lightroom's noise reduction thing is so fantastic. And the skin smoothing capabilities in here, unless you want to use portraiture for speed time. I never had portraiture, but I did have noiseware. I think they ran very similarly. So I don't have portraiture, so I can't say for certain, Gail. Yes, I've got to close it up. I wish I could answer all the questions, and y'all have been so gracious. Let's see. Oh gosh, there's so many tone curve. Blah, 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 blah. We'll just have to do another one. There's a lot of tone curve questions. Maybe we could just do a webinar on tone curves. I love this. Okay, y'all, I'm sorry, I can't get. Y'all are so welcome. I'm looking at a lot of questions I've already answered. How did I tilt a photo when you're cropping? Go outside to crop. How did you tilt the photo when you're cropping? Move your cursor outside the crop, and there will be an arrow that's kind of on like on an angle, and you just click and tilt. Click your mouse and just move your mouse one side or not the other. I love the crop tool. Okay, I'm so sorry I can't. There's no code for the presets sale. No code for the presets. Dream Baby is on sale for 25%. I think I could, Janet, what are snapshots? I think I just covered that. This should have answered your question. Export, oh my gosh. What do you export for a file? Okay. Okay, good question. Well, last question, Angie, what do you export for a client? What do you export at a file for a client? I think you mean size, so because she has 600 wide, 900 high. Depends on where you're hosting your images. For Zenfolio, I do 900 wide now and like 1,000 high, because there, when I was doing smaller images, it made them bigger and then they didn't look great. So just find out, what the preview size is for wherever your gallery's at, and do it there. For Facebook, y'all, you can go as wide as 2,048 or as high as 2,048. So it's different. We're going to address that. Hopefully, if I can talk Laura into it, because I love her and she loves me, I'm hoping to do an import-export webinar, because so many people struggle with those two things, and it's so important to get those pictures in there correctly and get them out of Lightroom correctly. So hopefully we'll have that soon. And Laura said we will do another webinar soon. Okay. Y'all have been wonderful. I wish I could have taken all the questions. Those who have met me in person or have done my workshops know that I revel in questions. I love them, and it makes me feel good. So I appreciate y'all asking the questions and engaging, and I appreciate that. You've been wonderful. The sale is on sale for just a half an hour, okay? Just a half hour. So 9 o'clock it ends, Laura, is that right? I'm running late. So anyway, y'all been great, and I will see you soon.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.